Welcome to another Wichita Toy Train Club Lionel product review. I'm Zachariah. Behind the camera we have Chris, and today we're going to take a look at Lionel's new Vision Line auxiliary water tenders. Before we take a closer look at Lionel's most recent models of the auxiliary water tenders, a little bit of history on these two. So here we have the UPP 814 and the UPP 809. There's a lot of history with these tenders and the Union Pacific Railroad. Before, they're obviously currently used as auxiliary water tenders for Union Pacific steam program. Before this, they would have most recently been used as oil bunker tenders for the gas turbines, and then originally they were built for the FEF-1s. The numbers on each side of the tenders are supposed to reflect which FEF-1 locomotive Union Pacific believes these were originally paired with. Obviously, this one being 814, this one being 809. There is some controversy when I was looking up for some history on these, so feel free to do your own research on that, and you can kind of go with whichever. But these were most definitely originally used behind some early FEF-1 steam locomotives. So before we go in depth on these models, some of the basic features Lionel has included with these. These are part of Lionel's Vision line of products. So they are the very top-notch Lionel has to offer. There's nothing new about the auxiliary water tender for Lionel, especially a UP version. They have been cataloged before, but these to be included in Vision line have included legacy and legacy rail sounds. So what that gives us is the basic features we've already had, which is a backup light on each end of, or at the rear end, sorry, of the tender. And then it also has rail sounds. Has the freight sounds for going down the track, the clickety-clack, the wheel screeching, and so forth. And then it also has some crew talk for when the locomotives are getting ready to go, so some lubing the side rods and stuff. We'll listen to that a little bit later. And then some stuff after the train has stopped. Let's go in for a closer look. We are now looking at the rear of the UPP 809. Right down here we have an electrocoupler that can be fired from our legacy or TMCC remote. Moving up we have a nice little coupler cut bar, some associated piping and so forth that are separately applied. Very nice paint job that's done on here with the red pinstripe across the top. Up top here we have our LED backup light, which can be triggered again from the TMCC or legacy remote, along with all kinds of handrails and stanchions. All right, we're moving down the side of our tender here, and we'll go ahead and talk about the big thing on the side, which is our American flag. So the 809, the UPP 809, that's very nice and crisp. I believe UPP is Union Pacific Passenger, is how they classify some things. And then of course the 809 is, it was believed to be originally with the Union Pacific 809 FEF-1. But they have this nice, beautiful looking American flag on the side. And I'll try to throw up a picture or two of the actual one. It's really a separate piece from the tender. It's not painted on or anything like that. It's a completely separate piece. So Lionel's, the last time they did this particular one was in 2014 with the Vision Line Big Boy. And they just printed it on the car, which looked okay, and there was nothing wrong with that. But they went ahead, and since this is a Vision Line model now, they went ahead and took that a little bit further. So this is a completely separate piece. It comes, when you get this thing out of a box, it's actually going to look like that. And so we have these two spots where our magnets correlate. The flag is done very nicely. We can see we have our two magnets on the side there, and that's what holds it in place. Now if I go ahead and I grab my other one here, we can see that the magnet spacings are just a little different. That way you guys can't put this on backwards. So the flag can only go on the correct way. Sometimes it can be a little finicky to find the right spot where they're supposed to fit, but once they're there, they're on there pretty well. Now moving on, we have all kinds of other details on here. Some just basic stuff, molded in stuff, nothing crazy. The side frames look very nice, that nice silver UP color. Some other molded in details along there. We have our Jim Adams name there. That's all nice and crisp. I don't know the full details of the Joe Jordan and the Jim Adams history and why their names were put on the side of the tenders. I think if you guys do a lot of your own research, you'll find Union Pacific has honored a lot of their past STEAM program members and any other executives this way, like Lynn Nordstrom and so forth. So if you're interested in that, I'm sure a quick Google search will give you all kinds of information. Looking on the front of the 814 here, up front we have our O-scale coupler here. And this is a completely non-operating coupler, does not open in any way, shape, or form, but it is always up against the locomotive, which usually has an electrocoupler, so you guys be all set there. Moving up, we have, again, coupler cut bar, nice little steps here, a couple other associated piping. This front does have a brake wheel here, so that looks very nice with its associated linkage. And of course, all our step ladders on either side and the handrails when you get up top. Now looking down the side of the UPP 814, otherwise known as the Joe Jordan. As we can see here, it's very similar to our 809. Of course, same tooling, so should look the same, just a little bit different paint. We don't have the big knobs there for the magnets. Nice crisp Union Pacific up here. Everything else looks very nice. This nice crisp red stripe across the top there and down along the bottom. Very similar to the other tender we looked at just a second ago. Looking at the top of the tenders here now, this is where there's a lot of differences from on these models than there are from the actual units, prototypes themselves. As we mentioned before, the auxiliary water tender is nothing new for Lionel, so we're using older tooling. So this is how the auxiliary water tenders used to look, like late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere around in there. When these particular ones were rebuilt around 05, 06, from what I understand, they were built a little different. I'll throw up a few pictures how they look now. So they look actually quite a bit different, as you guys can see, but that's up for you guys to decide whether that's worth it or not. But anyway, moving on back down to these models. The whole top here has all these nice drainage holes up and down on the steps and everything, all the nice stanchions and handrails. Everything looks beautiful up here. Right up here we have our one single water hatch. This flips up, and we have a master volume pot for the sounds on the inside of each tender. Real quick here, we happen to have a hold of one of the 2014 versions of the auxiliary water tenders. So we thought we'd go ahead and throw that in here for some color comparison. As we can see, the newer ones have a lot lighter gray to them. The yellow looks a little different. I'm not really sure there. And then the paint striping where everything kind of went up is in different positions. So if you guys have one of these, just to show you guys if how everything would look if it looked totally different. Of course, that'd be up for you guys to decide, but that's just kind of a quick comparison for you. You got the auxiliary water tender flipped upside down here in the foam cradle. We can see the underside here, back here. That's your electrocoupler on the left-hand side. The 3-axle trucks are just your basic 6-axle truck. As usual, always put a little bit of oil where that axle goes into the frame. Same thing with your center rail pickup rollers. We do have one per truck for a good electrical contact. Right here in the middle, we have a nice looking Made in Korea sticker. I think Lionel's been moving a lot of production back to Korea, so I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. It's not the US, but you know, I think they've been having better luck with factories in Korea. Anyway, moving on from that, we have a nice looking Visionline sticker here, because like I said, it is a Visionline model. And moving down to the right-hand side of this tender, right here over here, we have our max min switch. It might be kind of hard for you guys to see, but it is down there. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but that allows you guys to control how many sounds actually get put out from the tender. That way you're not totally overwhelmed. Works kind of the same way that the Visionline reefers and the sound box cars have been working. So if you have any of those, it's same concept there. If I move this up on that top side, there is our run program switch, which we'll use to, of course, set the TMCC ID. Now, one other note, I'll go ahead and throw up a picture to kind of hopefully show you guys what it looks like. But on our dummy coupler, Lionel did go throw out a TSB that the this assembly over here got put together incorrectly. All the parts are there, it's just put together a little wrong, so that coupler hangs a little lower than it should. I don't remember the original placement of, there's 2 washers, but I'll show you guys where they're supposed to be. Those 2 washers are supposed to be on the other side of this here. Hopefully that picture I throw up kind of explains that enough. Okay, so first, before we go ahead and fire these things up, we need to talk about how Lionel has these set up, how they suggest you should set them up in your legacy system. Of course, we would always recommend going with legacy. They don't have a IR sensor for the LCS CentraTrack, so they won't do everything automatically for you that way. So we do completely have to do these manually. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and do the 809. I already got it programmed in here, but we'll go ahead and go over everything and talk about some stuff. So we'll go ahead and hit engine. Well, it went right straight to 80, but we'll go ahead and hit engine 80. And as we can see here, like I said, I have it in. But you would come to engine 80, we'll go ahead and hit info. Over here, we can go ahead and assign a name or anything for it. This is also really easy if you use the LCS tool on the computer. I can't think of the name off the top of my head now. But if you use that, you can go ahead and tell the base all this information. That way you don't have to go back and do this manually from the remote. A lot easier on the computer if you want to do that. Go ahead and scroll over. And we'll see Lionel recommends to set this as a freight sounds, like freight sounds boxcar, like the Vision Line reefers and stuff. So that's what we'll go ahead and set this up with. What I have found is that when you set this up in a train, if the auxiliary water tenders, the end of the engine consist, it won't turn on the rear backup light if you start going backwards with just a locomotive and the tender as a freight sounds boxcar. If you want that backup light to come on, I would come back in here and just set it up as a steam engine with legacy rail sounds and everything. That's what I found. Why, I don't really quite know. Probably because it thinks it's a freight car and it's not telling it to turn on a backup light because it doesn't think it has one, would be my suspicion there. And everything works the same in Steam. You just have to, once you get used to the freight sounds keypad setting, you know where everything is, everything works the same. So that's up to you guys there. But that's just what I found out. And of course, we'll want legacy mode and legacy rail sounds. Go ahead and get out of that. We can go ahead and see our keypad has set up for that. So our number 1 position is our volume up. Number 2 is a flat wheel effect. We'll go ahead and try that out on the layout when we get there. Number 3 is our loading sequence, or when we're getting ready to leave. So all of our maintenance, lubing the side rods and stuff like that. Number 4 is going to be our volume down. Number 5 turns off the sounds completely. Number 6 is going to be our unloading sequence, which in this case is going to be, we're done for the day, we're cleaning it up, blowing down the locomotive, stuff like that. Again, we'll hear those sounds here in a second. 7, that I know of, does nothing. Same thing with 8 and 9, that I know of, they don't do anything. So these 3 here are kind of the extras for legacy. So A will turn on your clickety-clack. A with the slash through turns off the clickety-clack. The B, same thing with the wheel flange squealing. The regular B turns it on. The B with the slash through it turns it off. Our 0 position, of course, is reset, and aux 3 does nothing. Got power on the track here. We'll go ahead and go through some of the sounds these things have. So we'll go ahead and hit aux 1. Aux 1 is supposed to be a light metallic sound. Just sounds like what it sounds like when you hit aux 1 on any legacy engine. So that's what that is. The whistle is supposed to be like a deep metallic. So we'll listen to that real quick. I don't know. I don't really know what these are trying to represent. They're also in the Vision reefers. So, like I said, take it what you will. We'll go ahead. If we go ahead and turn the volume down, we'll hear a bell. That way we know where the volume's at. So we'll try that real quick. So this is overall volume. It's just like doing that trim pot. If you have that trim pot turned down, this will not override that though. turn this back up. If we hit aux 1 and then a sound down, we get that little bit different sound there, and that only turns down the background sounds really. So that's our clickety clacks, our squealing when we're moving down the rail. All of our crew talk and stuff are still full volume. We'll go ahead and turn that back up here. The flat wheel, like I said, we'll have to do once we get over to the layout. We'll go ahead and listen to what the reason why we're here and listen to some of the pre-excursion sequences.
You got the blue card? Yeah, it's here in the cab.
So that one just had some sounds and no crew talk. I've never been able to, there's no way to get exactly what you want. Sometimes the same thing will play twice. It's not perfect.
You got the blue card?
Like that.
Yeah, it's here in the cab.
We'll go ahead and try the other one here, see if we get anything different out of it.
Grab the grease gun and hit the main rods and crossheads.
So that's, again, a different sound. Like I said, there's no way to get exactly what you want. Of course, you hit the rear electric coupler, it fires, have the little sound for it. If we go ahead and hit direction with just doing this tender, of course the backlight comes on. Like I said, it won't come up if this is in a train as a freight sounds car. Don't know why. But there's that, and we'll do some after the run sequences.
Go ahead and put a good bank on that fire.
I find that one really funny because these are for the UP excursion engines, which are all oil fired, and a bank is only going to be used on a coal fired steam locomotive. It's kind of, but it's still a very, again, cool sound effect.
Yeah, let's clean out those ash pans.
Again, same thing with ash pans. That's a coal-fired steam locomotive deal, not oil-fired. But we'll listen to some more of the sounds once we get over to the layout. All right, so we're back over here on the new modular layout. It is big locomotive friendly, which is what we need to run the auxiliary water tenders behind. So I went ahead and I flipped the one behind the 844 to minimum to see kind of what difference that makes. And we may not be able to hear that on the video, but we'll see what kind of difference that makes. But we'll go ahead and listen to some of the run sounds real quick, and we'll go ahead and take it for a spin.
Okay, let's pull the blue flag and let's head over to the train. Tender's good. How about the cab? We got enough water to get through the day. It's going to be a hot one. Service is full. Got plenty of sandwiches too. All right, looks like we're just about ready. How's that fire looking?
Dispatch, 844 here. We're all set. Can I pull? Over. 844, please hold. Over. Okay, holding for green board. 844 out.
You got the blue card? Yeah, it's here in the cab.
844, I'm trying to hold our schedule. Can I roll yet? Over. 844, you are good to go. Over. That's good news. All clear. Out.
please. You can head out now.
Train has arrived. In position. Over. Okay, 844, you are in position. Sit tight. Out. Dispatch, 844 here. We're all set. Can I go? Over. 844, you are good to go. I've got green board. Train is clear to move. Out. Are we clear for the next junction?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Sweep the cinders off the deck plate and wipe down the windows and mirrors. Yeah, let's clean out those ash pans. You got the blue flag on? Okay, let's get her prepped for the night.
All right, so we've taken everything for a spin around the layout here. And as you can obviously seen earlier, these look great, they sound great. I think they work really well. One of my favorite things about these is with the 809 that Lionel went through the effort and made the flags a separate piece. That way, they just look better than if it was just printed on there. Chris, do you have anything else to add?
Other than, you know, like you said, these water tenders are really nice, and Lionel's made a really great product. Especially my favorite part about these is that they've added all the sounds and the features to them to add to all the realism that they're providing in the Vision Line's line of products. And, you know, with that, the excursion train and everything, including sounds, it all just really ties the train together. Yeah, it really does. It's just another addition of sounds. We've became a very sound-oriented O-scale hobby, along with smoke. Smoke's always great, right? So Lionel made a home run with these. So these water tenders were cataloged in Lionel's 2018 Volume 2 catalog, and the MSRP on these is right at $500. I always think the auxiliary water tenders in general have been a little high, but they are a full die-cast metal, and they're only like $150 or $200 more than a regular one with just a light on it. So I think it's definitely more bang for your buck. Is it a little high? That's up for you guys to decide. But Lionel made all kinds of different water tenders this go around, and I think they've done some more in the 2020 Big Book, so always check that out. But for the challengers, so we have a lot of Rio Grande, plenty of Union Pacific, and the always controversial 49er paint scheme. This concludes our review for Lionel's Vision Line auxiliary water tenders. Be sure to go down and like this video, and if you haven't already, be sure to go ahead and go over and subscribe and hit that bell. That way you get all the notifications of our product reviews and running train videos. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook. That way you get all the notifications of our open hours here in Wichita, Kansas, and any and all upcoming train shows. Thanks for watching.